Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw Inspired Living. My name is Kelly and today we are in the kitchen and we're going to jump into a recipe. I wanted to give you a little recipe that is midlife metabolism supportive. So I have to be honest with you, this recipe is from late in phase 2 of my program, because in phase 1 we really need to get the metabolism functioning correctly again, and that means, you know, stopping that insulin cortisol loop, and that has different properties in it than what we can do in phase 2, where our insulin sensitivity is starting to restore itself. But nonetheless, this is a great recipe. It is high in iron, so I use it for my daughter as well. I don't want to have to be making two different things. I want something that's metabolically supportive for me, but you know, high in iron and protein for her. So that's what this recipe is about. I hope that you like it. So let's jump into the ingredients. Okay, so here we have all our beautiful ingredients. Here we have some oats and pumpkin seeds. I mean, pumpkin seeds are so high in iron, which is amazing. We've got some beautiful vanilla protein powder. I can link the one that I use below. We've got some tahini, which is our fat source. We've got a few chia seeds and some sea salt. So we've got a couple of fat sources there, and the fat sources are something we really need to be careful of not overloading when we're trying to restore our midlife metabolism. We've got some orange zest and orange juice, some beautiful raw cacao powder, and I also add a little bit of wild orange essential oil into mine. You don't have to, but it just gives it a nice flavour, and a little bit of soy milk. Now, I'm also going to use some blackstrap molasses in this recipe because it's really good for my daughter, but this is much later in phase 2 when we really have restored some insulin sensitivity to our midlife metabolism. So there are beautiful ingredients, and the recipe honestly could not be simpler. Let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm going to use my Thermomix for this recipe, but you could use a food processor. Now, to be honest, I actually am going to add all of my oats and my pumpkin seeds and my chia seeds in together, and I blend that to a pretty fine flour because I don't really like chia seeds sticking in my teeth, and I don't like chunks of pumpkin seeds either in my balls. So I blend that up to a pretty fine flour. It's honestly just really about personal preference, but that for me, when I'm eating a ball, I like it to be smooth. So there you go, that's a really fine flour, and I just blended that up. You can do that in your food processor, it might take a little bit longer. And then really you're just adding all the other ingredients in, and then you're just going to blend it up. So we're adding the cacao, it's beautiful. We're adding in the orange juice and orange zest. One thing I do is I don't add all of the soy milk at once because you don't want the balls too wet. So I sort of add the soy milk a bit gradually. So I might add half of it, and then I'll just see how the balls are going, because again, you want them to be able to be rolled, not gooey or sticky. In terms of essential oil, I add about 15 drops because I like it. Or even a bit more if you want it really orangey. And as I said, I'm going to add in a half a teaspoon of molasses because it is really good. You know, it's a really good source of iron. But again, it's, you know, when we're resetting our metabolism, we do need to be a little bit careful about the sweet sources as well, about the sugar. But for my daughter, they're perfect. All right, let's just add half of our soy milk and see how we go. And then we can add the rest. So it's easier to add more, it's harder to undo it. If you do make a mistake and you get it a bit runny, you could just add some more oats. It's not too much of a drama. Yep, so I am going to need the rest of that soy milk. It's a little bit dry. So we'll just pop that in, reblend. You can hear it coming together like balls, and then we are literally just going to roll these balls. Now I'm going to roll these in coconut, desiccated coconut, but it really is just such a light dusting because again, coconut is another fat source, and we've already got tahini and chia seeds, so we don't want too much of another fat source in there. So that's really what it looks like. So it's just into a ball mixture. It's so easy and so quick. And these are really good because when we're talking about resetting our metabolism, we don't want to go too long without food, right? So we're eating every 3 to 4 hours. So if you find yourself stuck out somewhere and you can't get your meal within that 3 to 4 hours, these are a great option to just have in your handbag, just a couple of these Bliss balls, and it will tide you over, right? So it's not a full meal, but it will tide you over so that you can then, basically not, your body's not starving and it thinks it's got some protein in here, so that works really well as well. So you just might have a couple in your handbag, and the handbag's safe, so that's good. They won't melt because there's nothing in them that will melt. So you can make them, this probably makes about 12 to 13 balls. I mean, you're making them sort of like that size, so not too big. And I'll show you what I'm doing with the coconut. So it's literally just a light dusting of coconut. So you're not fully coconutting them on, you're just popping them like that. So fairly simple. I'll come back and show you them all finished. Okay, so here's a beautiful finished chocolate iron-rich balls. So they're not sweet, they're not meant to be a sweet treat, they're actually meant to be a metabolically supportive snack in phase 2 of my program. So if you've got children that are used to having things a little bit more sweet, I will pop another recipe down below this video that you can make that's a little bit more sweet. It has a little bit more molasses and a few other things to really enrich that flavour and make it a little bit more sweet. So it might be one that children enjoy a little bit more. But these are great, as I say, to have in your handbag. If you are stuck somewhere and you can't get that meal in within that 3 to 4 hours, these are a great alternative to stop that hunger settling in and that cortisol spiking again. So I hope you enjoy the recipe. Let me know what you think. And I hope to see you again in More Inspired Living.